I wanted to talk about the Dr. Disrespect situation. And because I have a channel, I'm going to talk about it. And I know that you guys are probably not getting this from the first time through me. You guys have probably heard this, parts of this story through multiple different avenues, but I wanted to provide the whole story that we know so far. And I wanted to provide more details as things dive in and kind of like dive into the entire thing that's been going on. And so, it's going to be a lot. We're going to cover everything that's happened since Friday, and then we're going to go into more details. So let's start there. For those of you guys that don't know, back in 2020, Dr. Disrespect was arguably the biggest face in streaming, right? He was the biggest brand. He was the leading streamer for Twitch. Twitch decided to reward him with an 8-figure contract to continue streaming and being the face of the company. 3 months after that contract was signed, it was revoked, and Dr. Disrespect was no longer streaming for Twitch. He was streaming for YouTube, which caught everybody by surprise because he's literally one of the biggest streamers, content creators in the space. What the hell happened, right? I watched the stuff that happened at the time. I watched a bunch of videos trying to figure out what happened, and I recently went back and I watched Moist Critical's video talking about it back in 2020, and his point of view was all the different people that he talked to or sources that he was reading on Twitter were basically saying like, yeah, we know what happened. We think we know what happened. It's such a big story that we can't talk about it, which is like the forbidden fruit of stories, right? And so I wanted to know what happened. Like, why, how big can it be to where you can't talk about it, right? And that's like, okay, well, stuff like this eventually comes out. It's going to come out eventually. I'll just wait and see. And 4 years went by. 4 years went by until Friday, where Cody Connor, a former Twitch employee, tweets out this. Quote, he got banned because he got caught sexting a minor in the then existing Twitch Whispers product. He was trying to meet up with her at TwitchCon. The powers that be could read in plain text. Case closed, gang. And then he says, no one made the wrong decision. Fuck him and his boys. Now, a lot of you guys are going to go, hey, this doesn't mention Dr. Disrespect. And I agree with you. I can read also. I did not see Dr. Disrespect mentioned in there. What happened is Jake Lucky quote tweeted this, and he said this: a former Twitch employee has come forward and stated the alleged reason for Dr. Disrespect's permanent Twitch ban being for, quote, sexting a minor in the previous Twitch Whispers product. Dr. Disrespect then responded and said, Jake, seriously, I get it. It's a hot topic, but this has been settled. No wrongdoing was acknowledged, and they paid out the whole contract. Now, some of you guys are not going to have, a side. You don't have a horse in this race, like figuratively, right? You don't have a horse in this race. Some of you guys are big Dr. Disrespect fans. Some of you guys do not like him at all. I'm not here to judge you on whatever side you are on. What I am here to say is if you are a huge Dr. Disrespect fan and you read this, it's a hot topic, but this has been settled. No wrongdoing was acknowledged, and they paid out the whole contract. That's not what you want to hear. What you want to hear is, I didn't do this. This is wrong. Like, this is wrong. This is defamatory. Things will be taking care of it, right? Because he's a brand. Dr. Disrespect is still one of the largest streamers in the space. He is a whole brand. He's got his own whiskey company. He had his own gaming studio. He has multiple different sponsors. He's worth millions of dollars, and he has to protect not only himself, the streamer, but his bottom line. And if you lie about things like this, you will get slapped with a defamation lawsuit. Look at what happened with Dominion voting systems back in 2020 at the same time. Fox News accused them of rigging the election for Joe Biden. Dominion voting systems then took Fox News to court, and they had to settle out of court for $787 million. Now, I don't think Dr. Disrespect was going to get $787 million for Cody Connor if he was wrong, but he was going to get a hefty chunk out of him for this. Because this is essentially what Cody Connor is doing here, is this is a John Wick style career duel to the death. One of these guys is coming out absolutely destroyed. You don't make this type of accusation without proof. The only reason you make this accusation is if A, you don't give a shit about your career and you just want to like light it up in flames, or B, you have actual proof. And so when I first saw this, I was like, holy cow, this is a hell of an accusation. This is extremely credible. Like, more is going to come out from this. And so Dr. Disrespect tweeted that. And then after that, he then says this the next day. Listen, I'm obviously tied to legal obligations from the settlement with Twitch, but I just need to say what I can say since this is the fucking internet. I didn't do anything wrong. All this has been probed and settled. Nothing illegal. No wrongdoing was found. And I was paid. Elden Ring on Monday. Now, this all happened, like I said, this happened Friday, Saturday. And for me, I just sat back and I was like, holy cow, like this is a huge, hefty allegation. What is going to happen from here? Well, from my perspective, I like to draw on past instances, right? If you look at if he is innocent, the defamation lawsuit is swift. He needs to protect his brand. He needs to protect his reputation. He needs to protect his money. And so if this was wrong, the defamation suit was coming. If it was correct, and if he is actually guilty of doing these things, you were going to see more people come out. You were going to see a ripple cascade effect of either more people coming forward or people from Twitch or other sources basically coming out of the woodwork to kind of pinpoint these things, right? Because that's what happened with Bill Cosby. One accusation became many. That's what happened with Harvey Weinstein. One accusation became many. That's what happened with Deshaun Watson. One accusation became many. And so when you see a man in his 40s that has been streaming for a very long time, if, and this is a big if, guys, of course, at this point in time, if he actually is guilty of these things, he probably didn't do it the one time, right? Like, predators don't just typically stop at being a predator once, right? And so that was my perspective at the time. I was like, okay, we're going to get more in one way or another. Either we're going to see a lawsuit come, or we are going to see all sorts of things come out of the woodwork. And so what happened? Well, things started coming out of the woodwork. Zachary Diaz tweeted out, "So glad it's finally out there." Jacob Wolf said, "Cody coming out of journalism retirement with the biggest story in gaming of the past few years. I'm so glad we at ESPN never acquiesced to DrDisrespect's PR people's bullshit by giving him a softball interview where they requested we not ask about it in summer of 2021. He then says summer of 2020 years blend together. So yeah, in 2020, they did not acquiesce to this. Rod Breslow, who at the time basically was really big on outing big stories. This was a huge story that everybody was talking about. He said that he wanted to talk about it and he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it at this point in time. On June 21st, he comes out and he tweets, quote, "I didn't lie." And so you have all these people that seemingly kind of know what's going on, all of a sudden coming to kind of confirm what's going on without actually confirming. And it's like, okay, what the hell's happening, right? And so my perspective is like, wow, all these people are seemingly conferring with what's going on. Well, I read more of his tweets, and he then tweets on June 22nd, "This is a good blog and some insight into myself." And so this is a tweet from Mikhail Klementov, and he talks about, a lot of people have asked why and how so many people knew the DrDisrespect rumors all this time. I took a crack at those questions, and so there's an article here. Now, I'm not going to read all of this because A, it's in light mode and I don't want to blind you too much, but there are some interesting points of view that I think shed light on this entire situation, and this came out on Saturday. He writes, "From a professional journalistic standpoint, though, I've always thought that Breslow was on solid footing. In the aftermath of Connor's tweet, some users have asked rightly, why does it seem like everyone knew? Why didn't anyone say anything? The truth is that in as much as it may seem that the story has advanced, we're really still on square one. Keep in mind this is Saturday. There's a reason that we think we know came in the form of a vague post. Every journalist wants to be the one to nail this story. Keep in mind, journalism is very cutthroat. You want to be the one to break it. You want to be the one that gets a story this big out. If it's true, but not a single one has gathered the requisite sourcing to make it happen. What does that mean? For a story like this to feel airtight, a journalist would want to talk to multiple sources with direct insight into what happened when Beam was banned. It's likely, however, that the group that made Twitch's decision regarding Beam was small and tight-knit. People in those positions often don't see any upside in speaking with press, and indeed fear the risks, professional blowback, legal issues, etc. that might come with revealing internal secrets. And before a journalist can even have a conversation with such a source, they have to find that person. In a company like Twitch, which is owned by Amazon, identifying and then reaching the stakeholders who are involved in such a momentous decision is a huge task in and of itself. So basically pointing out, Twitch is a large company. Whoever made these decisions on their biggest brand name probably kept it quiet so that it didn't spread, because it honestly also makes Twitch look bad, right? And so when you look at it from attempting to look at it from a journalist point of view, you need multiple sources. You need to not only find these people, you need to have them willing to come out and talk about it. And if this group of people that made this decision was small and tight-knit, well, they probably all know each other. They probably know who's talking and who's, sharing this information. And yeah, you could have professional, like you said, professional blowback or legal issues that happen by leaking this specific information. If it's a smaller group of people, it'd be easier for you to be found. And then he says, for more on this, Bloomberg's Jason Schreier wrote a helpful Reddit post explaining how a reporter might know something, but not know it to a degree that would be acceptable to an editor. All these journalists have to bring it to their editor, and the editor has to look it over. They have to check the sources. They have to verify the sources to make sure that their asses are protected and they don't get sued. If somebody brought forward this story with only one source and you couldn't be verified by multiple people, whatever company that released this article releases it, they could suffer from defamation, which is probably why this story stayed hidden for 4 years. He then goes on to explain, on the other side of the equation, I know that journalists at the Post and elsewhere saw public records relating to Beam that might shed light on any reported criminal activity. We didn't find anything. Our vertical launcher was shuttered in 2023. Journalists who say they, quote, knew or heard something in the aftermath of a big public revelation or accusation aren't showing off. If anything, their knowing should be treated as a statement of humility, even if it doesn't look like one at first blush. I couldn't get this, they're saying. I was working on it, but I couldn't get it over the line. So for 4 years, the story sat out there, where all these different journalists, all these different people that kind of known what had happened, they haven't been able to get the requisite sourcing until apparently Friday. And so that's kind of what happened Friday, Saturday. And so I'm sitting here and I'm just like, holy shit, like this is a huge story. Like this is a huge story. What's going to happen? So Monday comes, DrDisrespect has his live stream and he says he's not going to talk about it. He says he's not going to bring it up, like what it is done. They're moving on, yada, yada, yada. Then about 3 hours into DrDisrespect's live stream, Midnight Society, his co-founding gaming company, tweets out this. On Friday evening, we became aware of an allegation against one of our co-founders, Guy Beam, aka DrDisrespect. We assumed his innocence and began speaking with the parties involved. And in order to maintain our principles and standards as a studio and individuals, we needed to act. For this reason, we are terminating our relationship with Guy Beam immediately. While these facts are difficult to hear and even more difficult to accept, it is our duty to act with dignity on behalf of all individuals involved, especially the 55 developers and families we have employed along with our community of players. So this came out during the live stream. DrDisrespect noticeably looked at his phone, his kind of demeanor changed. He talked about it and basically brought up hey, maybe I'm going to take this long vacation. I'm going to get away. Maybe I just hang up my shoes and call it a day and go off to Costa Rica and, call it a career. That's basically kind of what it sounded like. I can just play it here for you guys.
I've always kind of hinted it'd be nice to get off and just completely separate, right? Go live in Costa Rica or something. I don't know. But I think the first and foremost, though, is I did have a sort of a planned vacation coming up. And I think I might just extend that starting today, starting now. One of these, let's take a step back. A little short one. We've accomplished some things, but I think more importantly, we need to step away. I think when I say step away, I'm going to have to either have to relay this to the Midnight Society, but maybe I step away from there too. Just completely remove.
But this happened, and so Midnight Society terminated him, and in that live stream, he then goes on to explain how maybe he's gonna step away, which makes it look like I'm gonna kind of step back. I'm gonna step back from the situation, not I was fired. So basically, trying to soften the blow that it was a implied decision by both parties instead of they found out that he did some really bad stuff. It got confirmed, and now they have to let him go. But this was the big one. This was the big one that really caught my attention. And Dynamite Twins said it really well. He said this yesterday. Okay, so why is this controversial? DrDisrespect's own company assumed innocence, investigated, and let him go. This is HR 101. You don't fire a co-founder without serious cause. Why are you all defending him still and demanding evidence when his own company is cutting ties? This isn't like some soft put like sponsor that like is, has a toe in the water, right? And is working, partially with DrDisrespect. This is a company that he co-founded, and they came forward and they said this. And so this happened yesterday. And it was like, okay, wow, this is really, sounds like he did it. It really sounds like he did it at this point, because there's no reason his own company would walk away from him at this point in time. And earlier today, DrDisrespect tweets this out. Quote, the Twitch ban. Hello, I'd like to make a quick statement. Let's cut the fucking bullshit. As you know, there's no filter with me. I've always been upfront and real with you guys on anything that I can be upfront about, and I'm always willing to accept responsibility, which is why I'm here now. First and foremost, I do want to apologize to everyone in my community, as well as those close to me, my team, and everyone at Midnight Society Game Studio. A lot of people have been left in the dark about what happened yesterday with Midnight Society and we made the painful decision collectively to have me step down. Which, that original tweet and what he said yesterday, they're not going in line with each other. It looks like he wants to soften the blow, and what was originally written isn't the same. So, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, the guy that's been, kind of lying about everything so far is probably still lying in this situation, in my opinion. I don't know. I don't have any confirmation, but like, if I were a betting man, that's what I would bet on. Goes on to say, our team is full of incredibly talented and good people that have high career ambitions and families, and I never want to jeopardize the culture we have carefully crafted. Everyone has been wanting to know why I was banned from Twitch, but for reasons outside of my control, I was not allowed to say anything for the last several years. Now that 2 former Twitch employees have publicly disclosed the accusations, I can now tell you my side of the story regarding the ban. Were there Twitch messages with an individual minor back in 2017? The answer is yes. So, admitting that he was messaging a minor in 2017. Were there real intentions behind these messages? The answer is absolutely not. These were casual, mutual conversations that sometimes lean too much in the direction of being inappropriate, but nothing more. Nothing illegal happened, no pictures were shared, no crimes were committed, I never even met the individual, I went through a lengthy arbitration regarding a civil dispute with Twitch, and that case was resolved by a settlement. Let me be clear, it was not a criminal case against me, and no criminal charges have ever been brought against me. Now, from a moral standpoint, I'll absolutely take responsibility. I should have never entertained these conversations to begin with. That's on me. That's on me as an adult, a husband, and a father. It should have never happened. I get it. I'm not perfect, and I'll fucking own my shit. This was stupid. Now, with all this said, don't get it fucking mistaken. I've seen all the remarks and labels being thrown around so loosely. Social media is a destruction zone. I'm no fucking predator or pedophile. Are you kidding me? Anyone that truly knows me fucking knows where I stand on those things with those types of people. Fuck that. That's a different level of disgust that I fucking hate even hearing about. Don't be labeling me as the worst of the worst with your exaggerations. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. But I think I've said what I needed to say regarding the ban itself. That's it. That's why Twitch made the decision in 2020. To my team, community, industry friends that have supported me, I apologize. I wish I could have said all this sooner. You guys have always showed me and my family love and support throughout all these years. We love you guys like you can't imagine. I have the fucking best community and circle. If any of this has made you uncomfortable, I get it. You don't have to support me anymore, but just know you have always been greatly appreciated. But trust me when I say this. To all my haters that live and breathe social media with zero real life experience, I don't give a fuck about you. Finally, if you're uncomfortable with this entire statement and think I'm a piece of shit, that's fine, but I'm not fucking going anywhere. I'm not the same guy that made this mistake all those years ago. I'm taking an extended vacation with my family as mentioned on stream, and I'm coming back with a heavy weight off my shoulders. They want me to disappear. Yeah, fucking right. So guys, this is what's happened today so far. Since that admission from DrDisrespect, we've gotten a video from Nick Merckx here saying that you can't support it. We've gotten another video from Tim the Tatman echoing the same sentiments. Quote, I can't support that. I can't. This is awful. Charlie, Moist Critical, tweets out, holy shit, that's actually shocking. Confirming messaging a minor inappropriately, but saying there wasn't any real intent is almost verbatim what people used to say to Chris Hansen. And so we're sitting here, and it's been a long 4 days. There's been a lot of information that's come out in 4 days. It's come out a lot quicker than I had actually expected. But I still expect this to happen. Now, do I think that this is over? No, I do not. I do not think this is over. I think there's actually more information probably coming on down the pipeline. And the reason I believe that is twofold. Number one, I don't think you come out with this admission unless you're trying to get out ahead of something, right? Like, there were people that were still defending him before, like even after his gaming studio dropped him. There were still people defending him. There were still people supporting him. And so the only reason you admit it is if you think the information's going to get out anyways, and the information's a lot more damning than you're letting on. And so you're either trying to get ahead with the full truth, or you're trying to get ahead and like tell your side and kind of soften the blow before it comes out. And so that's my take on it. It's just an opinion. Like, that's just how I viewed it happening. The other reason that backs this up is 2 days ago before this submission. Today is June 25th, just so you guys know. This was posted June 23rd. Now, the reason I am pulling this up is because Cody Connors posted this tweet. And he's two of them, actually. It's tweets, plural. My bad. He writes, "Those 3 tweets warrant admonishment. Maybe more than 3. The stands trying to dig up stuff have been so underwhelming that I presume they missed something. I apologize for it all because it's worth apologize for." A little bit bad English, but regardless, he's referencing 3 tweets, I guess. The subtext of the bit, again shameworthy, is that you're the last person to not know. The information had been so normalized, declawed in the circles that I ran in, that could be reduced to illusion and entendre. For everyone who has since said that's fucked, I agreed with you on Friday night before you wrote it. I should have agreed with you sooner. I cannot take it back, but I can stop it. I never said I'm a perfect person. I just hope this class grades on a curve. I'm sure a lot of you guys are reading this and you're wondering what the hell he's talking about. It took me a few times to read it as well. I have conducted enough Twitter research and searching. I think I know what he's talking about. But regardless, if you look here, he's got a few screenshots from last year. And so what he said back then was, if you like my very niche insights on esports and content creation, then you would love hearing me play guitar loud as fuck. Tour with the Tiny Moving Parts and WGD band starts tomorrow. Maybe I'll get so swept up in the spirit of the music that I'll blurt out why we banned him. And then he also said, December 1st last year, about 6 months ago, "Gamer friends, if you're on the East Coast, you should come to one of these shows. Slasher is coming to the New York date. That's a 500-person room, and we're like 70% on presale. I always act out around Rod. If that show sells out, I'll 100% explain why we banned him during the set." And so these 2 tweets that I have found. People have used, defenders of DrDisrespect have used these tweets to call to question Cody's beliefs on if he's telling the truth or not. Like, basically, okay, you're using this information to try to sell tickets. Instead of like questioning what the information is, they're attacking the man. Now, it's up to you to use fallacies if you so want to, but Cody's stance here, or how I read it, was that his point of view, and I'm not saying I agree with him, I just want to be clear here. He's saying that everybody in my group of people that I was running with, we've known that DrDisrespect has been this way. This has been a running joke with people inside in the know with what's been going on. And so him pretending to out this, it's already been outed with his friends. It's already been outed for 4 years. Everybody is known. Everybody that knows something about what's been going on has already known that Drdisrespect has been messaging underage girls. And so his point was, it was meant to be a joke. It's illusion and entendre. It was pointed out this way, but if you're not in the know, you wouldn't know what this is about. And so this is what he was trying. I think this is what he was trying to say. I very well could be wrong. If you have a different explanation, please provide in the section below. But regardless, this isn't the interesting part. The interesting part comes in the second tweet, in my opinion. He writes, "That said, I'm the least sued I have ever been. Guys, lawyers work weekends. I don't think they had a few things they just needed to get to before they decided to circle back to this." Meaning, if he was going to get sued for defamation, he would have heard about it this weekend. Actions speak louder than words, basically. And then he says, also, he then goes on to say, "I'm also a little irked at Jake, who is very clearly trying to split the difference with what he thinks is half of his potential audience, but also I deserve to feel bad about the things he's flagged. I just do." I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. I have no idea. And then he says, "But I also know Jake is racing to verify that screenshot from the world's leader in multiplayer entertainment is legit. Enforcement ID number 7278926. And things are dragging on. Knowing who I was racing, I would probably put out some content too." So here's where we stand. Cody, what he's posted, DrDisrespect is verified, right? He's verified that what had happened has actually happened. DrDisrespect has said, I'm not going to jail for it. I'm not doing any criminal act. I acted out of line. This is inappropriate. I should have known better, but everything was legal. What Cody is also saying is that there is an enforcement ID number. Twitch there's apparently a screenshot of the actions of enforcing this contract of terminating DrDisrespect's contract. That's how I'm reading this. So there's a screenshot of proof out there, and it's this enforcement ID. And apparently there's journalists that exist out there trying to verify this enforcement ID before they post it. They're trying to get verification that this is actually a real thing. And so he's saying things are dragging on. They haven't proved this verification yet. And then he says, knowing who I was racing, I would probably put out some content too. Once again, DrDisrespect is one of the biggest is, however you want to say it, one of the biggest content creators and streamers in the space. This is a huge story. Getting your hands on this is something that a lot of journalists would like to have as a pin in their cap for breaking this specific story. And so him saying this is, there's a big journalist basically trying to track down the verification for this. And so I am of the belief that the guy that has been right so far, there's a pretty good chance that he's going to continue to be right. Even more so than the other person that says this is the end of it. And so the person that's been lying and misleading the whole time, I'm less inclined to believe them in this situation over the person that's been right so far. And so I believe there's more coming down the road. I don't know what it is. We can all speculate. You guys can feel free to speculate in the comment section if you want, but it is my belief that this stuff will probably get out there. It is also possible that they track down whoever he was sexting. It's also possible, due to the amount of time that he's been in the space, that this isn't the only isolated incident. It's possible. So I do think that there will be more information coming out down the pipeline, and that's where we're at right now. The last thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, and we'll end the video after this point, is this is all recent, right? As of Friday, it's been 4 days. We have all this, everything is fresh in our minds. We have all the content up there. Everything that you've watched exists out there. Your favorite content creators, differing points of view, all these talking points. And most people have taken a very measured approach. Most people have looked at this and they've gone, hey, I support the guy, I don't support the guy, but regardless, I'm going to wait on these accusations until I see actual proof. Until I see more that can change my opinion, I am going to hold reservation and until then, right? And I think that's the healthy way to approach it. I think that's how you should approach things like this. Even with somebody that you are huge fans of, it's a parasocial relationship. You don't actually know the person. Yeah, you may watch their stream 4 or 6 hours a day, 5 days a week, whatever. That doesn't mean you have a relationship with that person. That doesn't mean you know who they are. It doesn't mean you understand who they are. It's you watch their stream, and the stream of this person is, playing a character. And so it's interesting watching so many people from day one. Like, it happened on Friday. It's okay to have a healthy amount of skepticism. It's okay to question it and wait for proof. It is a completely different beast to go, this person's innocent. This person is completely innocent. This is a grand cabal out to get him. There are clearly puppet masters pulling puppet strings in the sky on this, and they're trying to take him out, and we have to protect him at all costs. I've seen a lot of just nonsense like that. And it's not just from random accounts on Twitter, right? There are also content creators since Friday that have just dug themselves in and made a stance on this that don't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. How are you going to formulate an opinion before the evidence comes out, right? You're basically coin flipping. If you're right, cool, you continue on and your YouTube career continues doing what it's doing. But if you're wrong, you just did a 50-50 coin flip with no information for your reputation. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand why you would do such a thing personally. Just wait till the information comes out. You don't have to be a fanatic about these things. And so it's super interesting. There's a comic I read from the Oatmeal years ago now. It's called The Backfire Effect. I'll provide a link in the description if you guys want to check it out. But basically, he talks about what the backfire effect is. Long story short, it's when something calls to question your worldview. Oftentimes, it's very tough for our caveman brain to accept, right? We have some core beliefs that are so ingrained into our brain, we believe it to be true. true. And when those things are questioned, we get defensive. And so in these types of situations where, you know, you have fanatics that love Dr. Disrespect, they love his stream, they love who he is as a person, they love who he plays on these streaming platforms, and they love every part of it. And so when you call to question that this person may have done something inappropriate, it questions that worldview of how awesome they are and how good they are and who they are. And instead of accepting that new knowledge and changing your opinion about, hey, like, he clearly fucked up, this is wrong, you can't support this, it backfires. And so that's why it's called the backfire effect. Your opinion on this changes, and you instead double down on your original belief, because now you're being questioned, you go into your caveman brain even further. And so you have this happens a lot. This is not just the case with Dr. Disrespect. It's not just the case with him. You see these core values being questioned all the time, and you find people they're willing to support some of the most heinous acts because that's better than questioning their world beliefs. It's better than questioning like one of their core philosophies or their core ideas in their brain, because their caveman brain doesn't want them to change. They want them to stay the same. And so these guys are just deep down fanatics of who they want to believe, and they're willing to support this person regardless. And so it's tough. It's tough. And all I'm trying to say is some of you guys are watching this video, and you're probably coming to the perspective of, yeah, you know, when I first saw that, I became a little defensive too. I got really defensive that somebody was out attacking my favorite streamer or something like that. I've changed my opinion now, but I was really defensive right away. That's the backfire effect kicking in. You were able to buck the trend there, but that's what it was. And for some of you who are probably going to comment in the comment section and tell me I'm wrong and tell me, you know, this is Puppet Masters and this is all a grand scheme and I'll see whatever, you're still falling for this. Like, this is where we're at. I think more is going to come out. But yeah, the tribalism is just so fucking weird, guys. It's so weird. Like, just step back from these situations, right? Like, step back, wait for information, formulate your opinion. Don't formulate your opinion, wait for information, and then double down on your opinion. It's stupid. So I'm going to end this here. I hope this was informational. I hope I provided a few more tidbits. Let me know if you like this. This is the first kind of video I've done on this channel. I'll leave it here. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.